I'm 100% fine with that. I can start us off. I've been very vocal this offseason on the New York Jets, and I believe that they are the second best team in the AFC. So I do have them finishing at the top spot. I look at this. I look at this team, and I understand on the defensive side, maybe the only question mark I may have are your safeties, but outside of that, DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, arguably the best cornerback duo in the league. Hassan Reddick, God willing for
Tomorrow's
you guys
the big day.
that he does. Yeah.
Tomorrow, Jets, this is first week. This is game week practice.
Yeah.
If he doesn't show up tomorrow, I don't know if he'll ever show up.
Well, he's not going to play much on Monday anyways.
No, but at least be out there. It's week 1.
With the leap you saw from Jermaine, you have Quinnen Williams, one of the better interior defensive linemen.
I'm sorry. Before you continue, do you guys even want him back with that bad energy?
Oh, I think if he shows up, he's ready to go.
You think
He's been one of the top 10 productive edge rushers in the league.
It's not even about production. I just know when people you've been out for a while, it probably looks bad, and you're not being there for your teammates. He could bring in that bad energy.
I think the teammates understand you're trying to get a contract. I think everyone in that building understands.
But he lied in the press
for sure.
Then he said he's going to play and he's not playing.
I don't disagree, but I think most players understand you're trying to get paid. You're trying to set yourself up. So do what you got to do.
So again, looking at this offense on paper, it's beautiful. It's just a matter of having to stay healthy. That goes for Aaron Rodgers. That goes for Breece Hall. That goes for Mike Will. The offensive line, Tyron Smith, obviously, he needs to stay healthy. Elijah Vera Tucker, he needs to stay healthy. Where we stand right now, on paper, this is one of the most talented rosters in the league. I will be honest, though. I don't know if you guys are a 13-win team like we had in the record prediction. I see a realistic possibility where the 3 teams can be tied for the same record. I look at the Buffalo Bills. This would be a double-digit win team. I look at the Dolphins in that schedule, understanding that December is going to be brutal. That Week 18 game can be for the division in MetLife. So right now, where I do have it shaped up right now, I have the Jets at number 1 at an 11-6 record. I have the Dolphins. It can go either which way. I have them 10-7, 11-6. I have the Buffalo Bills 10-7, and of course in last place. It's so hard with New England because when you look at a bad team, you understand you're favoring all these squads, and so naturally you kind of go and say, all right, we have to find wins one way or another. So I have them going 3-14, a 4 and 4-12. But it would be pretty fucked up if New England was the Houston Texans of last season. I say that with the idea Gerard Mayo comes to town. Now they have a defensive mind, just a new type of culture being instilled in New England. You have Drake May. If Drake May is the CJ Stroud of this class, where he goes and you take a miserable squad and now suddenly they're amazing. You have young receivers in Jalen Polk, in Javon Baker, although we know that they are not at the level of a Nico Collins or a Tank Dell. We didn't know Tank Dell was going to be that good. We didn't know that Nico Collins was going to take this insane leap where now he's in conversations with top 10. I don't know if Jalen Polk will be a breakout player like that, but I think Jalen Polk has a strong skill set to be a very firm wide receiver 1 for the New England Patriots. Look at Javon Baker. Maybe he has his ways to go, but he's been looking pretty good in camp. Understanding Ramondre Stevenson's not a bad running back. Maybe the offensive line's what concerns me the most.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know where we stand right now if I can go and make that type of statement. But understanding they have such young talent on this squad that maybe the Texans stick in people's mind because they did something that was so peculiar. But I don't know if I can fully anticipate that. But if there was one team that I would say can do it, or is on my mind that has the possibility to do it, is New England because of that presence of Drake May.
Well, they're starting Brissett week 1.
I know, but I don't think that won't stick for too long, personally.
Yeah, but just start off 0-3. That's the upward battle is the only thing.
That's fair.
I agree. I have New England's 4th place team to me. About 4 wins, probably 5 at best. I love Drake May. I'm excited to see him play. I think he's was the 2nd best prospect in this draft class. I like the receivers like you mentioned, but I do think obviously it's going to take a few weeks for him to get on the field, and I think the offensive line is the biggest reason why, right?
Sure.
I think the coaching staff realizes the weakness it is, and when you have a terrible offensive line, the stress that puts on your quarterback, now you have a rookie quarterback, you're dealing with his confidence, his mental state. So I think it's smart to start Brissett. It's a lot easier to go to Brissett to Drake May than the other way around, right? You have to sit Drake May. Now it's a real issue within the building. But I think it's smart to start him, although it certainly limits your upside to see what Drake May is. 3-2-1. I think all 3 teams have a legit shot to win the division. I have the Jets as the division winner. I think they could win about 12 games looking at their schedule. They have one of the top 10 easiest schedules in the NFL. Of course, it's a very fragile situation with their top players. That's the biggest question. It's Rodgers coming off an injury, Tyron Smith statistically injured, Breece Hall thankfully healthy last year, of course, ACL. a lot of dudes who they're counting on have been banged up over the past few seasons, or like Rodgers having a massive surgery. So it's, of course, scary situation when you have to rely on all of those guys, but you can make that argument for a lot of teams, So if everyone's going to be healthy, I think the Jets, like you mentioned, have one of the best rosters in the NFL. I have them with 12 wins, and then the Bills and Dolphins I both have with 10 wins. I do think Buffalo not comes down to earth, but doesn't look as strong as they've had in years past. I think losing Stephon Diggs, although the second half of the year, numbers-wise, they were great, there's going to be moments where you just miss a wide receiver one in this offense, right? Josh Allen is so spectacular. This offense is still going to be a top 5, top 10 unit at worst. But I think in those big moments when you're going up against the Jets, when you're going up against Kansas City, one of the top teams in the AFC this year, there's going to be moments in that game where you're like, damn, I really wish we had a guy that could just win one-on-one consistently that we could draw a play up to here. Josh Allen, though, the floor is so safe that they'll still be a playoff team. Miami, too. The last 6 weeks are brutal, but to start off the year, they could be 8-2. You know what I mean? Like that first 2-3 months of the season, Miami, I think, is going to get such a head start because all of those difficult teams are really last like 6 weeks of the season. So I'm excited. This is the first time in a while, I guess, that it really feels like a year the Jets have like a legit chance to win a Super Bowl. It's crazy to say, but I really do think they have the roster and the team to do it.
I think the Patriots are going to have a really good defense, and it's going to keep them in a lot of games. The Texans have kind of jaded our perspective on how bad teams should stay bad because they made this insane leap. I think Gerard Mayo is bringing a new energy into the building, but losing Bill Belichick, there has to be some type of loss in that. Even with how toxic things got down the stretch, just his defensive game plans and how he prepared each week, I think was very important to the Patriots, just always having and trotting out there an elite defense. And the last time a team did it before the Texans was the Bengals. I mean, nobody thought the Bengals would go to the Super Bowl, and they did it. Everybody thought they were going to finish last in their division. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think that this AFC East is so tough that I'd be surprised by it. My order for the AFC East, the New York Jets, number 1. I got them at 12-5. I got the Bills at number 2 at 11-6. I think Josh Allen is the closest thing to Mahomes when he's at his best than any other quarterback in the NFL.
I agree.
And we saw Mahomes lose an important offensive piece in Tyreek Hill and still net out there the number 1 offense in the NFL. He does have Andy Reid. He does have Travis Kelce. But for everybody out there that thinks that Josh Allen is as good as Mahomes, this is your time to prove it. This is your time without Stephon Diggs, a guy who just so happens to coincided with your leap in the NFL. How will you look without him? I think the Bills, because they have an elite quarterback and they continue to trot out great defenses, they will finish second in division. And the Miami Dolphins, I got third at 10-7, and the Patriots at 4 at 5-12. I was able to sneak in some wins in there for them, and I think that's how the division is going to go. Miami has the most potential to live up to what they expect for themselves this upcoming season, because their schedule towards the beginning of the year is pretty light. They do face some tough teams. I think Jacksonville week 1 is not a slouch. They also face Seattle within those first couple of weeks as well. I don't think they're a slouch either, but they probably will have an 8-3 record going into that second half stretch, and they're going to face some really great teams, and it's about if they can live up to the moment and they can beat them, or they're going to crumble like they have done for the past 4 seasons now. So the Dolphins have potential to do that if everything goes right for them, and they'll be healthier for that stretch with their edge rushers coming back as well. But I think the Jets, they have the most talent in this division. I think it's quite clear, and Aaron Rodgers is really the biggest question mark for me. How is Aaron Rodgers going to come back from his Achilles injury? Quarterbacks that are post-40 typically drop off at any moments in time, but throughout this entire training camp, reporters have only praised Rodgers for how well he's played. The offense has won against an elite defense. So I think Rodgers can still be a great quarterback, but will he get injured at some point in the season? He's never played on turf for an extended period of time, and now you're playing on MetLife for your home games, and that always is going to creep into my mind. This entire season, whenever Aaron Rodgers falls or takes a sack, I'm holding my breath.
For sure.
It's a fact. That's how I felt about Porzingis basically this entire last year.
Also, I wouldn't be me if I didn't correct you by saying you said last 4 years, because that's the amount of time Tua has been quarterback for them. Fair. Please do not forget when they went on that 7-game heater to end the year and just blew it to Tennessee. It's not like they completely fell off.
You blew it.
It was also raining. Can't forget that. Go ahead.
You had to know.
Raining, snow. He just
Cold.
yeah. If it's not nice,
You can't forget that Bills game in the winter. Please don't do that.
You lost.
Tua left the field winning.
You know, that's a good ass point. I got New England at 4. I agree with what you guys said. Seeds 1, 2, and 3 in the AFC East is going to be really tough. I do agree with you. I do think Miami has the most potential to kind of like win the division in a sense because their schedule starts off smooth. And even teams that Seattle is going to be a good game, Jacksonville is going to get a good game. We know week 1 through 6, Miami is probably the best team in the world. So being as if they start off strong, they start off hot, Tua's going to have the stats. Tyreek's going to have his 200-yard game here and there. The defense has improved, I think, on paper from last year to a degree. So I think they'll come out, they'll play better. And plus, I think they're walking in this year a little bit more healthier than last year because, Ramsey did not play at the beginning of the year last year. So they're going to be just slightly more healthy in the secondary. They did pick up Poyer, so that's good. But I have Miami sitting at 3. I have the Jets at 2. I do think they're the most talented roster. I think they have the best defense in the league. I think offensively, they'll be fine with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Mike Will. It really just depends on which Aaron Rodgers you're going to get. Are you going to get the great MVP Aaron Rodgers the year before, or are you going to get that last Aaron Rodgers who really legitimately wasn't good, and now he's coming off an injury? So that's the one thing really holding them back. But they do have Breece Hall. They do have talent on the wide receiver spot. The offensive line has gotten slightly better. So I trust it a little bit, but for them, it's just about health. I got Buffalo at 1 because this is more of a see it to believe it type of thing. I know they did lose Stephon Diggs, but 2 of the last 3 seasons, they weren't number 1 in the division towards the middle ground of the year, and then they rack off about 6-7 wins to end the year and just win off the division. They just did it recently when they beat Miami. So this is a team that usually acts on resilience. They acts off their toughness. Sean McDermott gets the best out of these guys. And I think their defense, even though they did lose Matt Milano probably for an extended time, I think they got better. I think in the secondary, they got a little bit more younger. Tre'Davious White was a great corner, but he just never played. Now you have Rasul Douglas, Teron Johnson, Ben Four, and these boys. You don't have safety help. That's going to be a problem because Micah Hyde was the guy calling all the shots back there. Jordan Poyer, those are 2 vets. So that's going to be an issue. But I think Greg, Ed Oliver, Von Miller has apparently looked great at camp. So you have something on the defensive line. Then your offensive line was great last year. You're essentially bringing everybody back. It's just about those receiving guys. Can you get something out of Kincaid and Knox? Can you get something out of Shakir and Curtis Samuel and James Cook? Can he be more reliable with his hands and catching the ball, be more productive, less fumbles and stuff like that? So you could just get a sharing of the sugar thing. I do agree they're going to have moments where it could be quarters, it could be a couple games where it's like, God damn, we need a number 1 guy, or we need a receiver that can take it over the top. But, you have Josh Allen, you have a sharing of the sugar vibe, you can use them in the run game too. I think they'll be good enough to where they can still be a good team. So I got Buffalo at 1, Jets 2, Miami 3, and the Patriots at 4.
Do we think Rodgers will be a top what quarterback next season?
I'm going to say top 13.
He's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers has a chance to win MVP this year.
If he's top 10, if he's top 10, you guys win MVP. He wins MVP.
No, if he wins MVP, the Jets are the best team in the AFC.
I don't think he puts up the numbers. He needs
they're
4,500 passing yards.
MVP, why are you going
touchdowns.
crazy?
You don't think he could have 30-plus touchdowns?
With Garrett Wilson, God willing,
I don't
Mike
think
Will.
that'll be enough. 30 touchdowns. I don't think it'll be enough.
He just
If he throws 30
too.
touchdowns,
Lamar
we're
just
picking up
won
Tyler
MVP.
Conklin.
He should.
Tyler
With
Conklin's going to be a
20
must
touchdowns.
have.
For sure.
because
Conklin's gonna be the
Goff's going to
second
have like
receiver.
34, 35. Goff's team's going to be pretty good.
It's going to be
Your
tough
boy
for
Jordan
him.
Love, who's your actual MVP pick. He's probably
So
going to
what
have
do you think? Rodgers
35.
going to play at top what level next year? What'd you
Like 12.
Top 12.
I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback.
There's so many great quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it's
actually,
not,
I think
it's not,
12,
it's not a
13,
bad thing to
there's a
say.
shit
And it's
ton of
Aaron
quarterbacks.
Rodgers.
If Rodgers is
Aaron
the
Rodgers.
11th best quarterback for us all season long, Super Bowls.
And
in,
you know
in,
when
in
it
the world.
starts? It starts Monday Night Football when we beat the brakes off the
Damn.
Niners. We're going to cook the Niners bad.
That's
You
a
saw my
fact.
mom
I hope you know that.
tweeted
I
at
did.
you?
Santos, clip this.
She said,
Yo,
What's the final
I can,
got to be?
The final-
28-14?
Man, I'm thinking it's going to be 31-13.
Oh,
We're going
wow.
to smack them up.
She said, I can't wait to see you wrong, Joel. Yo,
31-13.
I don't know if they'll put up 31 points on the Niners. I really do see like a 23-20-esque type of game. It could go either which way. If Trent Williams plays, I'm leaning that 23-20 the Niners. But
Trent doesn't play.
if he doesn't play,
Trent's about his business.
It's ugly.
You don't pay him. He's not going there.
31-13.
he's being irrational.
I'm not
beating
gonna
the
lie.
brakes
Trent
off him.
doesn't play. How worried are you about Brock Purdy?
But 13? Come on. It'll be
Like
like,
he'll easily throw multiple interceptions.
No, you're right. I was
be a
being
31-20
a little
game.
too disrespectful.
31-20?
31-17.
Who?
31-17.
Yeah.
31-17
if Trent
Jets.
doesn't play, I mean, like,
I'm gonna tell you why. They're gonna beat the brakes off the Niners. Our defense is elite. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, they're gonna shut down.
Shut down who? Say
Debo
the
Samuel
names.
will get shut down.
What about the other guy?
Hey, Ayuk is gonna do his thing. You know Ayuk always does.
Kittle's gonna do
his
his
Let him keep
No,
cooking.
against Quincy Williams and CJ Mosley. Yeah, okay.
Nah, Kittle gonna get his.
Yeah, okay.
Kittle
They're
gonna
one of
get
the-
his.
They're the best coverage linebacker doing in the
George
NFL.
Kittle's George Kittle.
Kittle's one
What
of the
are we
best
talking
tight
He
ends.
was
in
one of the
league.
most efficient tight ends in a long time
And
last
Quincy would
season.
lock him.
Purdy
Stop
and
playing.
Kittle's
He
connection
led
is
all
CJ
tight
Mosley
ends in
too.
yards and
What are we
didn't have
talking
90
about?
targets.
Quincy could lock a lot of
yo.
people. Maybe Kittle. Maybe Kittle.
Yo,
Maybe Kittle.
who's guarding Quincy Williams up front? Who's guarding him?
No, they're fucking.
Who's on here?
No,
Quinn is gonna
that's
have
a
a game.
fucking-
for
Big
sure.
Q?
Quinn's
Come
gonna have
on,
a game.
stop playing.
Quinn's gonna have
And
a
then we
game.
have Tyron Smith. Oh man, you know that's a wall. That's a wall. Nobody's
Morgan
gonna
Moses
pass
on the
him.
other side.
Who's guarding Garrett Wilson? I mean, come on.
Charvarius Ward.
The 49ers run defense is not that good. Brees Hall's going to run for a $150.
He might.
Two
He
touchdowns.
He might.
Tom, too.
He
What are we
might.
talking about?
I
man?
agree with that.
The 49ers, they ain't a real threat this year. They ain't a threat to the Jets on Monday Night Football. They're
That's a
not.
fact.
They ain't a real threat this year. You heard it
They're
here,
not a
folks.
real threat.
Clip it.
All right, what division's next?
Okay, before we do that, John, what are your AFC East predictions?
That's real.
That's a great question. I've got the Jets also winning the division like many of you guys.
13
I've got
wins?
them winning 12 games this year.
Calm.
But like everyone said, Aaron Rodgers staying healthy for 17 weeks is not something I'm super confident in. So they're the biggest boomer bust contender to me in the NFL. Number 2, I've got the Bills at 10-7. Number 3, I've got the Dolphins tied at 10-7, but I think the Bills win that divisional series matchup. And then I have the Patriots finishing last. I mean, without Christian Barmore and Matt Judon, I don't think that defense is going to be the same level it was. Not to mention, I mean, you move on from Bill Belichick, I think the Patriots have a good case to being the worst team in football.
Yo, John, you can hear us?
No, I don't think I can.